Hello Internet, I am the Hero of Helios once again with another Digimon card opening video. This video is going to be the two new starter decks that came out. The starter deck Gallantmon and starter deck UlforceVeedramon. Not really much else to say about them. They're going to have the exact same cards in them each time, so it's not like this is a surprise. It's just more about talking about what's in them, the general strategy of what you're supposed to be doing with these decks, as well as the special super rare cards that come with the packs in here. So without further ado, we're going to start off with the Gallantmon deck. So to start things off, this actually comes with some really nice memory boosters, or not memory boosters. That's the cards. These are the memory gauges. So you get them in starter decks. You get them in booster packs. The Digimon card game wants to make sure you're able to play. So obviously, these work together to be the memory gauge between you and your opponent. But these are really nice acrylic ones. Like, they are real solid material. I'm going to say the UlforceVeedramon has those as well, probably with Vmon and Ulforce. But we're going to put that, actually, we're going to put those right here. Yeah, right there at the top. Alright, so a big helpful thing that came in these starter decks is the memory boost cards. So I'm going to show these to you guys. If you take a look, they are super shiny. Like, that is... Look at that detail in Agumon's eye as I move the camera move it just at the right angle. Look at that light. Each one does the same effect, so I'll just read off the red one and explain it to you from there. So you reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, and then add 1 red Digimon card among them to your hand. Place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order, then place this card in your battle area. Then it uses the delay effect, which you basically leave it in your battle area until you want to trash it. Once you trash it, you gain the effect, which in this case is gain 2 memory. And then a security effect places it in your battle area, kind of like how Tamers go. There's also one for blue Digimon. We got Vmon. Oh, that's a nice one too. You got him, punch in the air. Then there's a yellow one with the Agumon and a regular Greymon. The first Agumon was with Geogramon. Then a green one with Wormmon and Stingmon as the art. A black one with Agumon and Gardromon as its champion. And then finally a purple one for Demi-Devamon and Devamon himself. They all do the same thing except, with their respective color, but these, you're going to see a lot of play from these cards over the next few booster packs, at least in my opinion. I'll put those over there. And without further ado, let us take a look at what the new starter decks have to offer. First off is Instructional Cards, teaching you how to play the card game if you don't already know. If you're new to the card game or whatnot. And first off, we'll start with the level 2 card of the deck, Gigimon. Gigimon here is a once per turn. When an opponent's Digimon is deleted, this Digimon gains 2000 DP for the turn. So, pretty basic ability. In training, Digimons inherited aren't supposed to be anything special to write home about. But they are still, it's still useful, still fits the flavor of the deck, I'm betting. Alright. Next up, we got Monodramon. This is a alternate art for the BT1 Monodramon, which I like that the starter decks are doing that. That instead of trying to come up with new cards for every starter deck, they just come out with an alternate art for some of the cards. That way, if you're new to the game, you don't have to go find old cards, and if you're, I guess old to the game, if you're a veteran, not every card in here is super meta changing or anything like that. Next we get an Agumon. This is new for the starter deck. When this Digimon attacks a player, it gets 2000 more DP as an inherited effect. Note how when attacking, it says for the turn, but it doesn't say that it doesn't gain it again, you know? Like, this is a when attacking, but if you could pull it off twice, I believe potentially that's 4,000 more DP. I'll look up the rules, but I'm pretty sure that's how that works. This is one of the super rares in this starter deck, which is interesting because it's a rookie level Digimon. So this is Gallantmon. On our turn, if our opponent has a level 6 or higher Digimon in play, this Digimon can Digivolve into a Gallantmon from our hand for a memory cost of 4, ignoring the Digivolution requirements. Then its inherited effect is when an opponent's Digimon is deleted, trigger draw 1. That alone is already a great effect. A fantastic inherited is just gaining a card from deleting an opponent's Digimon. But on top of that, the warp digivolving is super helpful when you find yourself further behind your opponent. In most scenarios, you're going to have a memory tamer, which lets you have 3 memory. So playing Gallantmon and then immediately digivolving him to Gallantmon is not out of the question, and something you should at least consider when having this card on, in your hand. Finally, new to the starter deck is a blocker Biomon. My sister loves Biomon, so she's going to be happy about this. And just having a blocker as a rookie Digimon in red is a nice change of pace for us, because I believe right now when it comes to blockers, red has Cordramon from the first starter deck and then Monochromon from BT5. Pretty sure that's it. Pretty sure that's all we have. So as a red player, I'm very happy to see something like that. Okay. Next up is the champions. We got Growlmon, who gains us a memory when an opponent's Digimon is deleted, detecting a pattern between him and Gallantmon. Then we got Geogramon, a on-play effect champion level Digimon, with his on-play effect of being delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4,000 DP or less. This in itself isn't that impressive until you read that he is a security Digimon, which means if he pulls out a security, not only do you have a body on the board for free, but you could potentially delete one of your opponent's weaker Digimon. So to have 4 of that in the starter deck is very nice. And then finally, a new art for Dark Tyrannomon from the BT1 starter or booster pack. Just a 1 cost to Digivolve champion level Digimon, so it's nice to just speed up getting to ultimate level. And speaking of speeding things up, they also gave us an alternate art of Groundramon, who is a 2 cost to Digivolve ultimate level Digimon, which is a rarity in red, which is probably why they only gave us 2. It's not really else much to say. He's got decent DP, but he's not anything to write home about as far as ultimates go. It's just really quick to Digivolve, and between him and Dark Tyrannomon, you could get to your Mega in a single turn, saving you a lot of memory. To go with that Geogramon, we got this Rise Greymon, whose on-play effect will let us delete one of our opponent's Digimon with 5,000 or less DP. He's not a security Digimon, but 5,000 is a very common DP amount to see on the board, and sometimes the 7 cost is a fair enough trade for that. So, just something to keep in mind. Our final ultimate is a rare War Growlmon. When attacking, we delete one of our opponent's Digimon with 3,000 or less DP. And then once per turn, when an opponent's Digimon is deleted, this Digimon gains security attack +1. Gallantmon probably has a deleting ability, so to go from Gallantmon to Growlmon to War Growlmon could get you extra security, another memory, and a free card. So, ooh. And true to what I just said, ooh, a little sticky, we got Gallantmon, super rare, with a security attack +1 naturally, and when attacking, delete one of our opponent's Digimon with 4,000 or less DP. If no Digimon was deleted, gain 3,000 DP, making him a 14,000 DP Digimon. yeah, like I said, this works really well with all of his inherited effects from his previous evolutions. Or even if, it's just Guilmon Warp Digivolving into him, that's still a free card draw every time he attacks. Or he's strong enough to survive whatever's in the security facing him. Our other mega for this deck is Shine Greymon, the final evolution of the Geogramon line. He also has a security attack and piercing, which allows him to just make security checks even when he's deleting an opponent's Digimon rather than attacking the enemy directly. 12,000 DP is a little bit on the weaker side for a mega, but it's still a good card. I wouldn't put it in my main Greymon deck, but if I was going for a more aggressive red strategy, that's probably the one I would pick. It's a good card. Finally, we have our option cards. We have the 1-cost Lightning Joust, which gives one of our Digimon 2,000 more DP. Then, if the number of cards in our security stack is less than or equal to our opponent's, one of our Digimon gets an extra security attack. If you combine this with Gallantmon and then War Growlmon's inherited effect, Gallantmon by himself could check 4 security cards. So, that's pretty good. Our next common option is Atomic Blaster, which use any number of our opponent's Digimon whose DP equals to 8,000 or less, and then delete them. So it could be 4 2,000 DP Digimon, 2 3,000 DP, and a 2,000 DP, or just a Digimon with 8,000 DP. This is a very versatile option card, especially for only 5 memory, and it activates its main effect in security. So that's just a great card in general. And our final option for 8 memory is Gaiaforce. This is a alternate art for the starter deck Gaiaforce, in which you only got 2 copies of this card. But this is, what else is there to say? If you've played Digimon for longer than a month, you know what this card does. This allows you to just delete one of your opponent's Digimon. No caveats, no drawbacks, no fancy footwork. It's just 8 and say goodbye. High cost, high reward. And then, of course, in security, it activates the main effect. So it seems the main strategy of the Gallantmon deck is to build up a very aggressive Gallantmon, or Shine Greymon, and gain extra effects by deleting your opponent's Digimon, which is something Red excels in. I would say, if I was going to recommend any changes to that deck, maybe one less Gaiaforce, just because it's a little top heavy, and replace that with probably a memory tamer, something like Marcus, who would gain a lot of benefit from Geogramon, Rise Greymon, and Shine Greymon. You can find him in BT4, that's Great Legend Booster Pack. But overall, it's a strong deck, highly aggressive, and suits the Digimon in question. So, on the note of red, let's swap it over and see what the blue starter deck has. This is the UlforceVeedramon starter deck, which obviously, as the name implies, is about UlforceVeedramon. You guys already just saw me talk about the memory boost cards, so we're just going to put those right over here. Not a big deal. And oh yeah, they are also acrylic. Look at that. I'm going to put these are just the how to play cards. We're going to put those over there. And then we have these acrylic cards of Vmon and UlforceVeedramon. Not really much else to say. It's the same as Gallantmon. I think it's really cool that they went the extra mile instead of just little paper ones like they did for the first starter decks. They actually made these like nice acrylic ones. I have a War Greymon and Metal Garurumon ones that I got a while back. So it's pretty cool. That's a nice little flair to get people to play the card game. So our in-training level Digimon here is Demi-Vmon. While you have 8 or more cards in your hand, this Digimon gets 1,000 DP. I'm going to guess the goal of this deck is probably something along the lines of having a lot of cards in your hand. But that's just basing my opinion off the in training level Digimon there. For our rookies, we got Elecmon, which is an alternate art of the BT1 Digimon. With a play cost of 2, he's super easy to play and good for memory choking. Like if your opponent leaves you with only 1 memory, or if you have only 1 memory left at the end of your turn, you can force them to have only 1 instead. Our first new card of the starter deck is Gabumon. While we have 8 or more cards in our hand, this Digimon gets 1000 DP. So it's the exact... Is it the exact same effect? While you have 8 or more cards in your hand, this Digimon... Yeah, it's the exact same inherited effect as the Demi-Vmon. So that's nice, but I'm still interested to see how that ties together. Our next rookie is Dracomon. On play, we reveal the top 3 cards of our deck and add a Digimon with Dramon in its name among them to our hand. Place the remaining cards at the bottom of our deck in any order. I mean, obviously, UlforceVeedramon. I know Draco. So he can't pull another Dracomon out, but he can pull out other Dramons. This would actually be very useful in a D-Brigade deck, since they all have Dramons. I mean, I know they're all black cards, but... our first super rare for this starter deck is Vmon. If your opponent has a level 6 or higher Digimon in play, this Digimon can Digivolve into an UlforceVeedramon in your hand with a memory cost of 4, ignoring its Digivolution requirements. When attacking, if we have 7 or fewer cards in hand, draw 1. Okay, it's just like the Gallantmon from before. It can warp Digivolve into its Mega if needed. Only when you're behind, because your opponent, already has a level 6 out on the board. What's nice about this, though, is if you have 7 or fewer, trigger draw 1. So the goal of the Vmon is to get you up to 8 cards in hand. It's also when attacking, but it doesn't say once per turn. So if you can get multiple swings, you can get multiple draws. So... something to keep in mind. Next up, for the champions of this deck, we got Vedramon. When attacking, if we have 8 or more cards in our hand, we can return one of our opponent's level 3 or lower level 3 Digimon to its owner's hand. There is nothing lower than 3, because an in-training level Digimon can't be in the battle area, so that makes sense. That's actually really nice. It also fits the pattern, so I'm going to guess the Aereo Vedramon that's probably in this deck is going to also have that same effect. Next we have Cordramon, who, just like the Greymon, the Geogramon from the other starter deck, is also a security Digimon with a on-play effect of draw 2. So... the goal of this deck is definitely to have a ton of cards in your hand to gain benefits from it. Also, being a Dramon means that, just like Vedramon, they can be pulled out by that little Dracomon. Not much else to say, but it's a really good security card. Next we got Gorillamon, who... this is an alternate art of the BT1 Gorillamon, which I think is really cool. I like the artwork. He's blasting away some Vilemons and is only 1 to Digivolve, so it's really good for quick Digivolution. And, I accidentally grabbed the ultimate level Monzemon, which is only 2 to evolve, which is cool, and is also an alternate art. But this one's particularly cool, because if you look back here, you can see that Edamon is the DJ, and Monzemon is in this, disco thing going on. So that's neat. The other ultimate levels of this deck are Wingdramon, who will also be pulled by that Dracomon's ability. This is an ultimate level with Blocker, and if memory serves, I think this is a new thing for Blue. I don't think Blue has any ultimate levels with Blocker. Much like how the Red starter deck gave us Red players a rookie level Digimon with Blocker. So it's starting to get to a point where every level of every color is going to have blockers at some point. And our last ultimate is Vedramon, who has jamming. That's very nice. And his inherited effect gives us a extra security attack if we have 8 or more cards in hand. The obvious theme of the deck. Finally, our level 6 Mega level Digimon are Slayerdramon, which gains security attack +1, but only when digivolving. However, during our turn, he is unblockable. That's really nice. Even at only 11,000 DP, if you can find ways to power him up, like the Gabumon and the Demi-Vmon inheriteds, he could be a powerful force to be reckoned with. And if you have enough cards in hand, Vedramon gives him an additional security attack. So that's a very good side mega to have. But the main boy of this deck is our UlforceVeedramon. When digivolving, we return one of our opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon to its owner's hand and trash all their Digivolution cards. And when attacking once per turn, if we have 8 or more cards in hand, unsuspend this Digimon. So there you have it. That is the goal of the deck, is to get 8 cards in hand so that UlforceVeedramon can attack twice. In addition, he'll get a security attack if you digivolve him from Vedramon. Also, that is some really cool artwork. I don't know if I said anything about Gallantmons, but the UlforceVeedramon here has this like shining light behind him. Actually, let me take a look at the Gallantmon one real quick. I know we just went over that, but I could have sworn I saw... Yeah, take a look at this. So I'm going to hold it up real close, but you see that in the background? That is Gundramon. And that up there is Beelstarmon. So that must mean... Okay, see these little green lights shooting past him? He's probably getting shot at by Magna Kidmon. So that artwork is Gallantmon fighting the 3 Musketeers. Well, that's actually really cool. I'm sorry, Ulforce. I think Gallantmon actually has the better art. Finally, getting back on subject, our option cards are Hammer Spark. We get 2 copies of it. Gain 1 memory. This comes from the second starter deck, the blue one. I was kind of hoping Cocytus Breath would be in here because I don't have 4 copies of it, and I like having a full play set for collection. Maybe next time. But we gain 1 memory. As a security effect, we gain 2 memory. So it could weaken your opponent or force your opponent to let it be your turn. Next we get Victory Sword. For 3 we can unsuspend a blue Digimon. Security adds it to our hand. Nothing really huge to write home about. That's a pretty standard thing for blue Digimon. And finally, V-Wingblade. Return one of our opponent's level 6 or lower Digimon to its owner's hand, trash all the Digivolution cards, and then as a security effect we can activate this main effect. It's only 1 less than Cocytus Breath. It doesn't affect level 7, but it affects pretty much everything else, so while I may not have a full set of Cocytus Breath, this is definitely something I will be considering for my blue deck. Overall, it seems like the main strategy of the UlforceVeedramon starter deck is to make your hand as big as possible, then take advantage of it with all the cool inherited effects that you'll have thanks to Vedramon, Vedramon, and UlforceVeedramon being able to attack twice. If he isn't able to attack twice, he can still draw a card thanks to Vmon, so that's something to keep in mind when you're falling behind. Maybe throwing your Vmons out there, digivolving quickly with Gorillamon, and then swinging to draw some more cards. Overall, both starter decks seem very fair, very balanced, and with the memory boost cards, give you the ability to mix and match a little bit to see if maybe you can hold on to some extra memory cards to give you that swing back that you need. Like I said, I feel like the memory boost cards, we're going to be seeing them a lot in the future of the meta for this game. As for the starter decks themselves, definitely going to see the Gallantmon and probably that Vmon. I don't know how UlforceVeedramon will do, but the Vmon being able to draw multiple cards if you have less than 8 is a great effect. But as always, let me know in the comments below. What did you think of these starter decks? Did you think the memory boosts were a nice thing to have, or would you have rather got a booster pack like we have with the other starter decks in the past? Personally, I like the idea of the starter decks coming with booster packs, because then it, even if it's only one or two cards, it gives you a bit of uniqueness to your deck. But that's just my opinion. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.